Narada Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunda Bihari Kopidana Ballabha Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Kopidana Ballabha Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Raja Dhanaranjana Yasodanandana Raja Dhanaranjana Jaya Raja Dhanaranjana Yamunatira Varachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Yamunatira Varachari Jaya Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Kopidana Ballabha Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Kopidana Ballabha Grivaradhari. Yasodanandana Raja Janaranjana Jaya Raja Janaranjana. Yasodanandana Raja Janaranjana Jaya Raja Janaranjana. Yamunatiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Yamunatiravarachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Brahmadakacharya Asadhara Sadushi Shiman. His Divine Grace Shalasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande Haribo Slava Zabrani Bhaktam Slava Shri Guru Shri Grangi Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhute Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tenamane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Satarna. What did he read yesterday? So we're up to the second chapter. Okay. Om Agana Tumirandasya Gananjana Stalakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Vrijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakans Vitams Cha Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanshena Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 2, the Dynasties of the Sons of Manu, and we begin with just reading the translations until we get to a purport. Shukadeva Goswami said, thereafter, when his son Sudumya had thus gone to the forest to accept the order of Vanaprastha, Vaivashvata Manu, Shradadeva, being desirous of getting more sons, performed severe austerities on the bank of the Jamuna for 100 years. Then because of this desire for sons, the Manu known as Shradadeva worshipped the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, the Lord of the demigods. Thus he got 10 sons exactly like himself. Among them all, Ikshvaku was the eldest. Text number 3. Prashradras tu manak manoputrao Gopalo guruna krita Palayam asagava yato Ratriyam virasana vrata Prashadras tu manoputro Gopalo guruna kritaha Palayam asagayato Ratriyam virasanam vrataha. Ito Atam Veda Samrataha Sprishadras tu manapudro Gopala guruna kritaha Pralayamasa gavgato Ratriyam virasa vrataha. Ladies. Prashadras tu manapudro Gopala guruna kritaha Pralayamasa garato Ratriyam virasa vrataha. Shadras tu manoputro Gopalo guruna kritaha Pralayamasa gavato Ratriyam virasa vrataha. Prishadratu. Among them, Prishadra. Manu of Manu. Putra, the son. Gopala, herding cows. Guruna, by the order of his spiritual master, Kritaha, having been engaged, Palayam, Asa, he protected, Ga, cows, Yataha, so engaged, Ratriyam, at night, Virasana, Vrataha, taking the vow of Virasana, standing with the sword. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Among these sons, Prishradra, following the order of his spiritual master, was engaged as a protector of cows. He would stand all night with a sword to give the cows protection. Purport. One who becomes Virasana takes the vow to stand all night with a sword to give protection to the cows. Because Prishadra was engaged in this way, so we understood that he had no dynasty. We can further understand from this vow, accepted by Prishadra, how essential it is to protect the cows. Some sons of a Kshatriya would take this vow to protect the cows from ferocious animals, even at night. What then is to be said of sending cows to the slaughterhouses? This is the most sinful activity in human society. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatunde Ve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskatyade Siddharane. Now one may wonder how killing animals, especially the cow, is the most sinful activity in human society. Because it has a lot of competition. Illicit sex, gambling, intoxication. These are also competitors for the most sinful activities. But they're not number one. So, sinful means, basically Krishna says, Trividam narakasyedam dwaram nashitam atmanaha kama krodha tata lobhas tasmad etam trayam chajet. There are three gates leading to hell, namely lust, anger, and greed, that every sane person should become free from these three gates because they lead to the degradation of the self. In other words, if we were not covered by lust, anger, and greed, we wouldn't be in delusion. And if we weren't in delusion, then we'd actually know who we were. We'd remember who we actually are. We'd remember everything as it actually is. And then we'd always act in Krishna consciousness to please Krishna. So, because we've forgotten Krishna, therefore we're covered by these impulses. And the main impulse, beginning with lust, as Krishna says, is the root cause of it is the tongue. Atakshi Krishna namadi, na braved grayam indriyai, seva mukhe hijivado, swayam eva sparatija. That Atakshi Krishna namadi. No one can understand the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Krishna through his contaminated material senses. But when the senses become purified, by especially using the tongue, then everything is revealed. So, tongue is vibrating, sound, and also it's tasting. So basically speaking, life exists to taste. We're trying to taste something. And everything in the material world has a certain taste. Just like we look around, everyone has a certain color on. And that color gives a taste. That's why people wear the color. They have a certain type of dress. They have a certain way of hairstyle or lack of hairstyle. Everyone has a certain way of doing things because they're trying to derive either themselves get some taste from it, which is ultimately the purpose of whatever we're doing, or give other people a taste. So taste is the basic principle. And now, no one in the material world is satisfied with their taste, ultimately. If you ever notice, except for the devotees. But even the devotees, they change, especially the ladies, sometimes they change their color. Their saris change color. So, but the men usually, only once in a while they change the color. Not all the time. Hopefully not all the time. So that taste, that original taste, that adi taste is prema. In other words, the soul can only be happy when he is experiencing prema, or love for Krishna, and the love that the other devotees have for Krishna. And as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come here to experience 3 different types of taste. So every soul needs those tastes to become satisfied, or else he's going to have to change from one taste to the next, because he'll never be satisfied. He's always looking for that adi taste of prema. Whether he's eating, or seeing, or smelling, or touching, or whatever he's doing, he's looking for that original taste of prema. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came because Srimati Radharani experiences that taste of prema to the highest degree through her service to Krishna. Namely, she loves Krishna, so that very love is the highest taste that one can experience. One can actually experience Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna, that even Krishna becomes overwhelmed by that taste. Confirmed. And Srimati Radharani, she has the capacity, because of her love for Krishna, to experience Krishna's unlimited wonderful qualities. Because Krishna also has love, and that love is manifested in varieties of qualities. Prema. Because Krishna, when we say there's only 3 energies, there's Ananda, there's Chit, and there's Sat. So everything, that's all there is. So bliss, pleasure, whatever else, it's all just manifestations of Ananda or Prema or love. And that manifests itself to different degrees of consciousness. Consciousness is actually meant to experience prema. That's what consciousness is meant for. Everything else, if the consciousness experiences anything other than prema, then it's very dissatisfying to the consciousness, to the soul. And that prema has to be eternal. It has to be constantly being supplied and increased in ever new varieties. Otherwise, prema can't really, it doesn't become prema anymore. It becomes something else. So, in the conditioned life, we try to get pleasure from so many different things, and we're failing in so many different ways. That's why the styles change all the time. People are always going to, after some time, trying to new food, new relationships nowadays. They chew on each other for some time and they spit each other out because they can't taste anymore. There is the promise, if you love me, I give you prema in return. And if you love me, I give you prema also. But actually, you give me money, then I give you a little service. And if I don't like your service anymore, I'll give someone else my money. So the material world is very cruel. It's not, although the decoration is there, externally it appears to be something like prema, something like consciousness, something that's going to be stable, permanent. The lady gets married, the man promises, I'm going to give you a big house nowadays, or a little house, or some house. Be happy with a roof. And eventually we'll be able to put some walls on it too. Security, eternity. But there is no eternity here. Even the house, if you walk around the block here, you'll see even the houses don't last very long. And in that house, we're going to have a loving affair. Loving affair means I'm going to give you some security also. I'm going to give you some children, and the children are going to take care of us when we grow up and provide for us. And we can retire peacefully playing checkers. Enter into the checker world of existence. So in other words, everyone is promising some kind of bliss, some kind of knowledge, some kind of security or eternity, but it's all a failure in the material world. And there's no advancement. Why? Because the root cause is that they don't know what to eat. That's the actual problem. They don't know what to eat. They don't know why to eat. They don't know how to eat. As I was saying the other day, everything comes out, whatever we're doing, either in the material or the spiritual world, comes into 5 categories. Namely, knowledge. Knowledge means what to do. People don't know what to do. Nate vidu swartikatim hi Vishnu. They don't know the goal of life is to obtain Krishna, so they don't know what to do. And perspective means why we're doing it. People don't know why they're going into this restaurant. Their senses are just dragging them into it. They don't even want to find out what's in the food they're eating because they'll become discouraged. Matter of fact, people they want to be lied to, or else, they'd be frozen. They wouldn't know, they couldn't do anything if they found out what's actually going on. If they actually thought, why am I doing this? Why am I eating this thing? Why am I drinking this thing? Why am I talking like this? They don't know why, because they don't know what they're doing. So they don't know why they're doing it. It is being driven by their unbridled senses, as it says. And how to do it, how many people actually even consider when they sit down to eat that they're going to chew their food? Now that sounds really elementary, but how many of us actually do that every day? When we sit down for prasadam, actually chew our food. I mean, maybe we take, a couple of chews and we look at it and say, wow, a lot left, I don't have time to. And then at the end of the meal, people are hungry, not physically hungry. They can't put any more in their stomach. They're mentally hungry because there was this thing. It looked fantastic. They have this tomato. It looks like a football. It's so big and red, rather than a scrawny little tomato that grows naturally. It's big. It looks like you could fill. I can have 5 meals with this one tomato. But at the end, all they're doing is tasting chemicals and tasting all the anxiety to sell it to you, and everything is the mental impressions of everyone who touched that tomato and grew it and sold it and brought it to the market and prepared it, whatever, is all infused within that red with a chemical combination. And when we eat something, whether we're aware of it or not, there are different stages of experience. There's the experience of just putting that gross thing into our mouth and chomping on it. But do we actually experience, sometimes if you eat something which is crunchy, you experience it. But actually what we're experiencing is some kind of thing that's hitting our sensual and our mental level of experience. Just like if the cook's angry that day for some reason. Then everyone eats it and they walk out of wherever we're eating angrier. Because they're tasting the anger of the cook. They're also tasting the taste. If it's like it was filled with glyphosate and other chemicals, we also taste that. Maybe some of the dead bugs were also victims of the glyphosate. glyphosate. So we also taste the taste, but the taste also has different varieties. So that's like if you taste something really pungent, then you get fired up to the point you can actually become frustrated and angry if you eat too much of the food. You eat something that's too salty, for instance. You take one bite, a taste of it, and you get angry that I can't eat this stuff. It's so salty. I'm hungry and I can't eat this stuff. The salt will actually make us angry. So there's emotional quality, there's a conscious level, and there's a physical level to everything we're eating. Actually, everything we're doing, everything we're smelling, tasting, etc., has those levels, but it's most obvious in food. Because it's we're getting direct association with it, very close association with the food. And if we actually taste it, then we actually get affected by it. And if we don't taste it, we get worse affected by it. Because taste is what tells our stomach what's coming. If you eat something that has no taste, what is it called? Does anyone know? Something that has no taste and you eat it, what is it called? What's that? It's called poison. Because if you eat something and you don't taste it, then the stomach has no idea what you just ate. The stomach has no internet connection to figure out what you just ate. It has no eyes to see what's coming. Therefore, it doesn't know what to do. It doesn't know what gastric juices to send to the stomach in order to digest the food. And if food is not digested, what happens to it? Did anyone know? What's that? Maybe. What's that? That's called rotten. It stays in your stomach, because where is it going to go? I mean, the stomach's so big, of course, it should be this big, but usually it's that big now. So it gets filled up, but the little tract that's supposed to go along after it's digested is not like this. You don't have a digestive tract running through your stomach the size of a football field. So it just stays there. Just wait a second. What's going on? He goes, you eat it. One time, the only time I ever went to this 3D movie theater. You know what 3D movie theaters are? This huge theater. There was no movie playing. It was just a preview. And it was a show. It was a show of someone eating something, and they show their stomach. And when they show the person eats this tomato, and this tomato falls down into their stomach. You can see, I guess they just swallowed it or something. So if it's just swallowed, then there's no digestive juices. What's going to happen? The stomach goes, well, it didn't work, and it gets these little hammers it has in the stomach and starts beating on it. No, it just stays there and it just rots. That's called poison. And that's what eventually gets through, is a rotten food, which goes through the small intestine, and then from there it's assimilated, all the rotten food, which isn't digested. And instead of getting nutrients, the cells get poisoned. They don't get any energy from it. And then we feel sick. Why we feel sick? Because the body is trying to get rid of all these poisons, what we just put into it. And sickness means that is a signal to us and a symptom of the fact that we're not eating properly. We're not digesting properly. So all the food that people are eating, which is not offered to Krishna, is more or less not, it may be digested on the physical platform. It may be organic, it may be exactly for your constitution, but on this mental platform, there's no prema, and therefore one's going to be dissatisfied. One will not be, and if one is dissatisfied, one will simply be looking for what is going to actually make me happy, what's going to actually satisfy me. Where's the love? If we can't get love in food, then we look for love everywhere else. And if we can find actual prema everywhere else, then we won't even bother about trying to find prema in food or anything else, because we find it everywhere. And if we don't find it anywhere, we'll look for it at least in food, because we have to eat to maintain the body. But if there's no eating with prema, and the food wasn't, well, first of all, if the food wasn't served with prema, you know, you're sitting there at the Sunday feast and the servers come around, they go, whack. You go, I don't want that much. Well, here's, you know, don't complain. Or why did you give me so little? Hey, don't be greedy. Control yourself. I remember when we had our zonal acharya days, and I was in New Vrindavan, and I did the Back to Godhead article there. It's still in, if you want to see one of the articles I wrote for Back to Godhead. I used to be a writer for Back to Godhead. And I was there for a week interviewing the devotees there. And my photographer was taking pictures, and we wrote an article on New Vrindavan, the palace opening. And during that day, we had a zonal acharya there, and we were taking breakfast. I think, and breakfast meant, for all of us, we were getting what was called, I don't remember what they called it. It was just oats soaked in water overnight. Raw oats soaked in water. With a little salt added, so we can digest the oats. And that's what we had for breakfast. But the zonal acharya at that time, they brought in like 50 preparations for him. So if you're really devotional, and you could actually derive unlimited bliss from the raw oats soaked in water, it's probably no problem. But if you were not so Krishna conscious, then you might look at what the acharya was eating and wonder, you know, maybe I should become an acharya, I'll get something to eat. So, if we don't eat, if we don't chew the food and eat with prema, and if the food is not served with prema, and et cetera, they will remain dissatisfied. Of course, it's within our realm of influence. We can eat with prema. Krishna ate the banana peels offered by Vidura. Because they were offered with prema, Krishna was completely satisfied. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also ate the rice kernels from his devotee Raghunath Das Goswami, and he thought this was the nicest prasadam I've eaten, because there was love there. Now, the only food we could possibly eat which is offered out of love is what? Does anyone know? What is the only food actually offered out of love? Yes, milk. Who said that? Yeah. Did you take my Ayurvedic course? Anyhow, you got it right. In a normal society that you can find in books nowadays, description of it, that the cows offer their calves milk out of love. When the milkman wants to get milk from the cow, he ties the calf near the cow, and then the milk comes from the cow, and he milks the cow and gives some to the calf, because that's what the cow, out of love, gives milk to the calf. So that milk, that love, I mean, it's not prema. I mean, I don't think the cow sees Krishna in the heart of the calf. But anyhow, there's the closest thing to love in the material world when we drink that milk with the proper consciousness, and even if we don't have exactly the proper consciousness, then it actually infuses in the drinker a kind of maternal loving quality. On the other hand, if you kill the cow, the symbol of devotion, of religiosity, out of lust, and you chew on the cow's meat, you're actually killing on your mother. You're actually eating that maternal quality. It's not this idea when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the Kazi that you're eating your mother. He didn't mean that you're actually, eating your mother, the cow. That there was only one devotee I know, Karna. He was born out of the ear of a cow, but most of us weren't born out of ears of cows. But that maternal quality is actually what nourishes the soul, the body. The milk that comes from the mother cow actually nourishes our body and it helps it grow. So when we kill the cow and we eat it, we're actually eating that maternal quality. It's the most envious thing you can do. Someone who gives birth to you, helps you grow, instead of showing appreciation, you eat them. Not exactly a loving exchange. So that's the whole root cause of the suffering of humanity. That's why everyone is envious, everyone is dissatisfied, everyone is constantly looking for someone to give them love and affection, because there's anyone who's eating the cow, anyone who's basing their lives on the cow slaughter, the economic development to one level or another, is going to be lacking that maternal quality, even on the material platform. And therefore they'll feel unprotected, unloved, unappreciated, etc., because generally speaking, your mother is the one who's supposed to give you that feeling of protection, of appreciation, of comfort, etc. So if you're eating your mother, then you're going to become envious, dissatisfied, lusty, and it'll come out in all the relationships. We may try and find the relationships externally, but it's going to be, unless one is trained in Krishna consciousness, it won't be possible to find it in reality. That's why there's so many divorces nowadays, because people don't know how to eat properly. They don't know how to sleep. If they can't eat properly, they can't sleep properly, their minds will be disturbed. They won't be able to mate properly. They won't be able to feel secure. Everything will be problematic, will be dangerous to them. Take away their security, because they have no security. Therefore, the solution is to understand the value of the cow, the value of getting milk from a loving cow, and actually learning how to eat it, drink it properly, having the ability to drink it in some way or another, or eat it in the different forms that it has, and appreciate it. And all the other food that we eat that's offered to Krishna, eat it lovingly, attentively, and with some appreciation for our father who's giving us the grains, the bull, and for the mother who's giving us the milk products, the cow. Then that's the start of human society. That's the start of Varnashram. The Kshatriyas usually protect the human beings. The Vaishyas are protected, especially the Vaishyas are protected by the Kshatriyas, so they can protect the cows. They can give the ghee for the sacrifice, and therefore the sacrifice can be made to Krishna and the demigods, can provide the rain, so that this food could be grown properly, so we can have proper food, proper nourishment, both not only physically but psychologically, mentally, emotionally, and therefore feel satisfied in the material world and be able to chant happily Hare Krishna without having to look around in the material world for something to satisfy our insatiable desires caused by our lack of Krishna consciousness. lack of living, even in the material world, in a practical way, to actually feel satisfied and peaceful. Our modern society is so disruptive, trying to lure people into searching for things in the name of love and happiness, which actually produce simply more anxiety, more disruption, more enviousness, less satisfaction. This whole industrial, technological complex just takes away from the feelings that people are actually looking for. Feelings of protection, comfort, love, appreciation, everything that's good, it's just taken away. People buy an iPhone, the latest iPhone, not to comfort everyone else, give them love and appreciation. It's to invoke enviousness in others. Just see me, I'm God. Don't you wish you were God? Well, I'm going to buy an iPhone too. Well, I got a golden one. Well, I got a diamond one. There's no need for it. I mean, an iPhone could be utilized for communication. It has some practical value. But just to try to invoke enviousness in other people, that I got something you don't have, it's not exactly prema. And therefore the society is running after things that are useless, exactly the wrong emotions, the wrong feelings. Everything is wrong. And wrong in the sense it'll never make us happy unless we see here as a topmost Kshatriya, born of the son of Vaivashvata Manu, one of the 10 sons who are ruling the universe, and he's protecting cows. And we're thinking, oh, poor son, poor boy, he was born in a good family. Look what kind of occupation he got. Useless thing. Protecting a cow. But actually it was the topmost occupation. The cow was the basis of the civilization. Without the cow, without the cow's ghee and everything, the Brahmins couldn't offer the sacrifice, etc. Everything would go topsy-turvy. Kind of like, if you want to find out what it would be like, just go downtown, you'll find out. That's what it's like. So I'll stop there. Any questions? Yes.
I have a couple of questions, if possible. So the first question was, I don't know if I understood correctly, that from the lecture it may, for me, it seemed that here in this material world we are trying to taste all new things every day, and this seems to be a specific thing of the material world?
No, in the spiritual world, there's taste every day, every moment. Unbelievable taste, incredible taste, but it's all prema, it's all love. And here the taste is enviousness and dissatisfaction, greed. Basically, it's all based on lust, anger, and greed, the taste.
So here people eat different things, want to eat different things every day because of these reasons?
Yeah, they're
and
looking
in the
for
material
prema,
world,
actually.
why?
They're looking for prema. They're looking to taste prema.
And why do they do the same in the spiritual world? Why is the reason for trying and tasting new foods every day?
Because there's always new prema. It's always more in taste. The taste of prema, of love, is always increasing there. Even you eat a sweet ball in the spiritual world, and you taste it, as you remember the taste, the prema, the love that went into the sweet ball just increases all the time. Everything, prema is always increasing in the spiritual platform. In endless varieties of love. There's conjugal love, there's parental love, and there's friendship love, there's service love, there's appreciation love, and endless varieties of love and taste.
So does this mean that in fundamental, the reason is the same, to search for new prema or for search for prema?
Yeah, here we're searching for prema, sure. But we just don't find it. Therefore we're always dissatisfied. Therefore we always have to try something new. because that's what we're looking for. Prabhupada gives the example, just like a baby, the baby's crying, so they bring the baby from one mother to the next, but it still cries until it comes to the original mother. And then it feels satisfied.
The second question would be, you said that we have to protect the cows and appreciate the cows because they have that, they give us that mental maternal feeling. And I wanted to ask, what about the real mothers? Because
so the mothers,
we
the real
can
mothers.
see that even devotees, they say, okay, now I become devotee, and they don't care for their parents anymore. But isn't that the same as neglecting the cows?
Sure. The mother is also, that's why the mother is so important in Vedic culture, because it takes care of the children, it grows the children. That's the future. And the children, if they're breastfed, that Krishna, I think, was breastfed until he was like 5 years old or something. Then they get the nutrition, the protection, the motherly feeling, and they can grow up sane. And if they don't get breastfed, if they don't get the proper cultivation of love and affection in the childhood, they're not feeling protected and disciplined ultimately by their father, they grow up to be crazy, hippies, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but some devotees, I hear them say that in the Bhagavad Gita it is said that if you serve Krishna, you have no other duties to your forefathers and so on. So they use this quote to say that, okay, I don't need to care for my family.
Yeah, of course, you can use anything in Bhagavad Gita, whatever you want, to do whatever you want.
So how should a devotee care for his family, even if the parents are not devotees?
Depends. I can't, there's no one shoe fits everyone. There's some discrimination, but there has to be some appreciation. Devotee means appreciation, minimum appreciation. Not that, my parents took care of me. They actually tried to take care of me. They grew old. I just threw them out of the house because, no, one should have some appreciation, or else one will have to suffer the reactions for negligence. We may claim we're devotees, Devarsha, Bhutatma, Nrinam, Praturinam, but we're aspiring to become devotees. We're not how many of us are actually immersed in prema for Krishna? We don't even know who Krishna is. But to speak of, claiming that we're devotees. I mean, every breath we take is not necessarily to serve Krishna. That's a devotee. So this lack of taking shelter of any verse, to become negligent in the material world, as it says in Nectar of Devotion, one of the first 20 qualities of a devotee is he's not negligent in ordinary affairs. That's one of the rules and regulations that Srila Rupa Goswami gives us. So now if our parents, we can't deal with them, well, we deal with them the best we can, give them some prasadam, but we don't devote. If they're not devotees, then we have to be, discriminative and find out how much attention we have to give them, how much we can actually help them. But we shouldn't be neglectful either. Anything else? Yes. And also grains from the bull, by the way. The bull gives grains, so it's not only the cow, it's the cow and the bull. Okay. Well, there's 3 Ayurvedic clinics here. Which I never, I guess, well, number one, there may be, milk is a very heavy food. it takes some digestive power in order to assimilate it properly, digest it and assimilate it. And most of us, because of our bad habits, our digestive fire is not exactly a fire, it's more or less a candle. Therefore, even when we throw in a piece of fruit, it gets, the fire gets burnt out. You threw in a raisin, my God, what do you think? So therefore we have to be careful, what we feed it. But still, I never read any Ayurvedic book that said, this modern thing that milk is poison, it's only for the calf. No, milk is glorified as the most important food in Ayurveda. So how can an Ayurvedic doctor tell you, never drink milk, never eat any, fresh teas, never eat yogurt? How can that's completely against Ayurveda. Now, for our digestive power, we may not be able to properly assimilate it, and therefore we won't be able to take advantage of it. It'll turn into poison instead of nectar. So therefore, the Ayurvedic doctor may tell us not to take it at this time. And maybe we can properly balance our fire of digestion, then maybe we'll be qualified to take it sometime. Anything else? Hvala, Grantarai, something else? Okay, no, it's all right. The internet is all right. We're not totally against technology. I didn't say the cow is giving prema. Maybe the Sarabi cows are because of Krishna. But it's the closest to love in the material world. Prabhupada said that the mother's relation with the child is the closest you can get to love, vatsalya, of which the cows are also vatsalya rasa with their calf. So it's the closest to love in the material world, at least. If you're going to eat something, what are you going to eat? Something that's closest to ghastliness, or closest to love. Are you going to, drink a glass of blood or a glass of milk, which is more, sattvic? And we're trying to come to the platform where our consciousness be receptive to Krishna consciousness, which would be a better food. Kvala Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande.